attack now. Can he hang on in the OVO Energy Tour of Britain? Lines up for the sprint. Can he steal this one? 1 kilometre to go now. Is he going to take the stage? Yes, he is.
Hello, welcome. I'm Matt Barbette. We're in Kelso for stage 2 of the 2019 OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Another beautiful day. Scotland really delivering on the weather fronts these past couple of days. Let's just remind ourselves, though, where we're at with the race so far after yesterday's first stage from Glasgow to Kirkcudbright.
Scottish crowds gathered in Glasgow for the start of stage 1 of the 2019 OVO Energy Tour of Britain. And after the neutralised rollout, the peloton made it to kilometre 0. And of course, the attacks then came thick and fast. Eventually, 6 riders formed the breakaway and got a lead of just under 2 minutes. Team Jumbo-Visma, riding for sprinter Dylan Groenewegen, controlled things very tightly behind, with all the other teams happy to let the Dutch outfit do all the work. On paper, it looked like a stage for a bunch sprint, and the riders seemed to agree, letting the 6 stay away to fight it out for the Iceberg Sprint and Skoda King of the Mountains points. Rory Townsend of Canyon DHB even had a message for his dad after winning Dash in Cars Fair.
Happy birthday, Dad!
One by one, the escapees were caught as the team started massing on the front, trying to get their fast men in the perfect position for the finish into Kirkcudbright. Matteo Trentin of Mitchelton Scott was setting a furious pace as the finishing town came into view. And with a K to go, all the main sprinters were there.
Now the sprint opens up. Matteo Trentin, Groenewegen, Swift, Van der Poel and Bostock. That's the 4 across the road. Here comes Dylan Groenewegen. Chimolai's trying to challenge. Groenewegen's got the front though. Dylan Groenewegen takes the first stage here in Kirkcudbright.
So Dutchman Dylan Groenewegen managed to reward his team's efforts, taking the stage win and with it the OVO Energy leader's jersey.
Joined now here in Kelso by Janto Barker. Janto, the one thing that came out of yesterday's stage was just how Team Jumbo-Visma planned to try and control this year's Tour of Britain.
Yes, I don't think they can do that every stage, and I think the harder the stages get, the more it starts to favour the slightly more stronger sprinters who will get over the climbs a bit fresher.
We're still in Scotland. It's grippy racing, they tell me here. The roads, in particular, are quite sapping on the riders.
Yeah, and it does add up over the stages. So stage 1, obviously 200 kilometres is a long stage. Stage 2, it's got more climbs, so that's going to add into the factor. And then, you know, it's also a cobbled sprint today, which is also very, very different to a nice, smooth finish.
Slightly shorter than yesterday, just a smidge over 100 miles in old money. Let's take a closer look now at today's stage 2.
The peloton heads out of the town with the first Iceberg Sprint in Coldstream. The riders then follow the English border towards Berwick-upon-Tweed. They then turn back inland for the first Skoda King of the Mountains climb of Hardens Hill, which is quickly followed by a sprint at Duns, before the next climb at Scott's View and then the final sprint at Melrose. One last Cat 3 climb at Dingleton before a downhill run back to Kelso and the finish of stage 2. Kelso lies at the junction of the rivers Tweed and Teviot in the town centre and is dominated by the remains of the 12th century abbey. Famous for its salmon fishing and rugby, Kelso also claims the 5-arched bridge, which is the model for London's Waterloo Bridge.
Now, of course, when a bunch of pros get together, all their bikes are different, but there are some specific differences that we wanted to talk about, especially the brakes, disc brakes versus rim brakes. Janto, talk us through the pros and cons of each.
Yes, well, we're in an era where there is both. And I think before this, obviously there were discs, there was only rim brakes, and I'm of an era when I raced, that's all we used. But naturally, disc brakes are an evolution of the braking system. Obviously, you've got the disc here, you've got pads, the caliper there, which differs obviously because there is no pressure on the rim on a disc brake. You get better modulation, especially in the wet. When you're trying to stay and understand how much grip you've got. It's actually a very difficult thing to calculate. On rim brakes, you sometimes get a couple of seconds in the wet, which you need to kind of factor in. It's not going to bite.
Less predictable.
Less predictable. So I think disc brakes favour the slightly less experienced rider who doesn't understand how to factor that into their riding, because ultimately, braking grip is all down to tyre grip.
Okay, this is not my bike, I should just say. But why do a lot of pros still prefer rim brakes? Is it just because that unlike amateur riders like me and all these other people watching, they just don't brake as much?
Well, I think actually when you get very good and experienced at braking, you can go just as fast on a rim brake, even down alpine descents, even in the wet, because they understand that the grip on the tyres is the bit that's getting them down the hill or not.
When it comes to pro racing like the Tour of Britain, the other benefit, I guess, is switching wheels in and out if they have a puncture. It's much more laborious on a disc brake bike.
Yes. So technically, in performance terms, the through axle is more efficient, but it's very much quicker to take out a quick release for a standard rim brake than it is from a disc brake.
Food for thought, have an eye out, keep an eye out on the peloton, see which brake systems they're choosing. Let's hear now, though, from some of the riders.
Jake, what does it mean to be lining up in the KOM leaders jersey this morning on stage 2?
Yeah, it's hopefully it'll make it a bit easier to get in the breakaway today, but we'll see. Yeah, it was nice to obviously take it yesterday, and I wore it a couple of years ago, but I think it's take it how it comes, and we'll try for the breakaway again today.
We're looking at Jens, obviously, for the sprint today. Should be able to get over it fine, hopefully, and it should be a decent group, probably 70 or 80 or so, that will get over that last climb and come in for the sprint. So there's no reason why it couldn't be a bunch sprint, but I have to see if don't know what's going to happen with the breakaway and stuff today. So
yeah, I think more concerned about the climb preceding the finish. I mean, Neil's said he's done it before and averaged some mad wattage to get over it with the front group. So I think that's going to be the first test, and then I think we finish on sort of cobbles. So
yeah, I mean, you've got that climb at 20k to go, 6%, 2.4k I think long, so it could be a bit of a crunch point in the race, so we'll just have to be near the front there to see if anything kicks off and make sure we're in that move if it does. But if not, then I think we'll pretty much nail it like we did yesterday and try and improve our lead out for Matt Walls at the end.
So Janso, another lumpy day in the saddle for the peloton. Who are we going to be looking out for today?
So I still think Groenewegen is going to be very, very difficult to beat, but if anyone's going to beat him, I think it's going to be Matteo Trentin.
After his showing yesterday, or after his season-long form?
Both, and the strength of his team to be able to pull the right turns and get him in exactly the right position.
Yeah, tell us about that team, because look, we expect to see Jumbo-Visma after the year they've had dominating, Ineos the same, but what about Trentin's team?
I mean, they're incredibly experienced, incredibly strong. That team all around obviously is very, very good, but you've got guys like Jack Bauer who can pull such strong turns right up into the finish line, which is essentially what you need to be able to start the sprint as fresh as possible.
Will we see Mark Cavendish from Dimension Data in the reckoning today?
I'm not sure. I think I wouldn't be focused on that if I was him either. I think I'd be just focused on making real good steps forward, but that doesn't necessarily mean being in the top 5 on the sprint on the finish line.
Because the last time we were in Kelso, it was Caleb Ewan who won here, so definitely one for the sprinters. On these cobbles, if they don't hit the wrong one at the wrong angle, fingers crossed they'll stay upright and sprint to the finish. Okay, that's enough waffle from Janso and me. Let's hand you over to your commentary team of Martin McDonald and Rob Hales.
Stage 2 here in Kelso. We are off and underway. 8 stages this year's Ovo Energy Tour of Britain. 1,267 kilometres, 13,093 metres of climbing for the riders. You can see the rollout, all those jerseys along the front of the peloton. We were here in 2017 as well, went from Edinburgh to Kelso. Caleb Ewan taking the stage on that occasion. You have your jerseys along the front. Roy Townsend on the left there in that red Iceberg Sprints jersey. And also Jacob Scott in that black Skoda King of the Mountains jersey, both behind the car. It's that position again on the rollout, Rob, that riders like. And it's something that we touched on yesterday. If you want to win a competition, you've got to battle day in, day out to get into those early moves.
You do. You've got to pick your fights. But generally speaking, you've got to get yourself in the break and to get yourself in the early break, obviously, on day one. It's no good sitting, holding back and waiting to try and pick up points from the peloton, because the likelihood is they will be mopped up by the breakaway.
Indeed, rolling out of Kelso, we're here in the Scottish borders, Scotland's leading cycling destination. We're just on the rollout, kilometre 0. We are ready to get racing off and away. The car will pull away from the front of the peloton. Off and racing here on stage 2 of the Tour of Britain. We are established. We are going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere back soon.
Welcome back to stage 2 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Rory Townsend and Jacob Scott were in the early attacks, but the jersey wearers were too well marked to get away today. 3 riders did break free and rolled through the first sprint at Coldstream. Bagdonis of AG2R taking the 3 points on offer there, and with it the lead in the red jersey competition. As we rejoin the race, the trio are coming up to the first climb of the day at Hardens Hill. So time to go back to your commentary team of Rob Hales and Marty McDonald.
First climb of the day, Hardens Hill, is the objective for the riders. 2.7 kilometres in length, average gradient of 3.7%, maximum gradient of 11%. You can just see this climb now stretching out before the riders. And in that King of the Mountains competition going into today, Jacob Scott was leading in the King of the Mountains classification ahead of Fouché and Townsend, 16 points to 11 and 8 in that classification. Gediminas Bagdonis getting himself into the group yesterday, 5th in that competition with 7 points. So we're going over this climb. And again, Bagdonis could potentially take the lead in 2 jerseys here.
He could. I think Pete Williams is the rider who's in this. He's got the most to gain, in certainly out of the 3 in terms of trying to defend that jersey. His teammate Jacob Scott was up the road. He's in that, but further back in the peloton, obviously, he's not going to be scoring maximum points again today. So that would be up to Pete Williams to do that and try and defend, and if anything, put himself up in the standings. And then in terms of the team, Swift Carbon, it gives them 2 options for the future stages to go up the road, get yourself in a move, and pick up the points.
So they want to keep that jersey within the Swift Carbon Pro Cycling team. Pete Williams potentially looking to try and challenge that jersey. And they could take it by, if he manages to take maximum points, I think 18 points we've got on offer on, because we've got all category 2 climbs today. We had a cat 3 yesterday, didn't we? So potentially he could take the lead in that by a couple of points. But then there's that little bit of rivalry sometimes that can creep in with a team, isn't there? That if you've had the jersey, Jacob Scott, you can see him up here. And again, there's still points on offer. These are category 2 climbs. So we can see now our Skoda King of the Mountains black jersey sitting up here behind Pascal Inkhorn. So he again, they'll see that King of the Mountains. Jumbo-Visma quite happy to defend. All of the points aren't gone here. So now he's defending against his teammate, which is an unusual scenario in some ways.
Yeah, you can see him here just edging out, but he's got a Canyon boy with him as well there. So they're trying to outdo him, and it's just it's good racing now at this stage.
So nonchalantly, almost, pedalling through towards the front is Jacob Scott. Ryan Christensen is the Canyon DHB rider on the wheel. So we're looking now for the next point. So still 3 2-on-1 points on offer over the top of this one. He's looking quite calm here at the moment, isn't he? He's just waiting to see if anyone's going to come up and challenge him.
So far, so good. There's obviously a little bit of wind coming across from the right-hand shoulder, right-hand hip, just denoted by the direction of the riders and that slight echelon, but nothing that's good that should be creating too much of a problem.
Oh, that's cruel by Pascal Inkhorn there, wasn't it? Just saying, if you're going to go for it, go for it.
Just give him a little bit of a nudge there on the right-hand side.
I think they were just having a little bit of a joke there, but I don't think Jacob was very happy with that, really.
Not at all. So we'll bring you confirmation of that across the line. Jacob Scott, you can bet he's going to be sprinting for the next King of the Mountains competitions. Our next objective will be the Iceberg Sprint at Duns with 91 kilometres to go. 1 kilometre to go to the second sprint of the day. The man on the front there just hands over to Pete Williams from AG2R Le Mondial. Gediminas Bagdonis took 3 points and 3 seconds in that one ahead of Williams and Jennery. Will look to try and take that one. And this will give him essentially the virtual lead on the road if he takes this.
It will, for now. but as you said, after the previous, the first one where he pushed himself up, took those 3 seconds, took himself from 4 seconds to 1 second, and in second on general classification. It'll be all changed by the time we get to the finish of the stage, but yeah, as it stands on the road, he is he's virtual leader on the road anyway, by virtue of the fact that he's 2 3/4 minutes ahead of the green jersey anyway, and so yep, doing himself no harm whatsoever. But for him, the priority is all about the points, and the time is, because the chances are he's going to lose time anyway on stage 4, depending on his outlook. But yeah, it's all about trying to pick up maximum points here on this intermediate sprint.
Gediminas Bagdonas has a glance back over the shoulder. Jenna lining up here for Wiggins Lacole. He wants to try and steal the maximum points on the line. Pete Williams, we can see, is challenging for the King of the Mountains jersey, so he will be content to let Bagdonas take maximum points here, which he does. So Bagdonas takes that one from Williams and Jenna. So sensible riding through the intermediate sprint there. Jenna on the back. I was surprised that Jenna didn't go for that one.
Yeah, he was looking a bit twitchy on the back there. It looks like he was going to have a go, but yeah, they've obviously come to some agreement, and they're just going to ride it out.
One more intermediate sprint to come. That comes at Melrose, with 25.9 kilometres of the stage remaining. Everything there says that at that point, looking at the gap, looking at the run-in towards the finish, that potentially this breakaway group should still be away at that point. Previously, I think the break came back on the final climb when we came into Kelso, back down into their rhythm. 90 kilometres to go. Next move will be Scott's View. That comes with 35.8 kilometres of the stage remaining. That's the next categorised climb, but as we've seen so far, it's fairly lumpy when you've got uncategorised. You can't categorise every climb along the route, can you?
Well, no, not here in this race. You'd run out of pages in the road book. But the issue for the riders, and most notably not so much the breakaway, but for riders back in the peloton, is the fact that the next climb, as you say, comes with 35.8k. Only 7.2 kilometres later, you've got the final climb tops out, and that's with 23 kilometres to go, and it's racing all the way into the finish. In between that, you've got the next intermediate sprint as well. So that's the thing. It's that repetitive nature of the climbs, and the fact that individually they're not that difficult, but it's just the fact that they come one after the other.
The peloton now are rolling through Duns. They're just going past the new Jim Clark Motorsport Museum, which includes 2 of the Clark race cars, including the Lotus 25 that he took to 4 Grand Prix victories. Also holds an extensive trophy collection as well. So the peloton just heading through there. There's confirmation of the King of the Mountains, Williams, Jenna, Bagdonas, then Incon Christensen, Jake Scott there. Mistake, you would say, by the Swift Carbon rider. Through Duns, the intermediate sprint, so Gediminas Bagdonas of AG2 Isla Mondiale takes 3 points ahead of Pete Williams and Samuel. Jenna also takes the bonus seconds as well. We're going to take a short break, back soon. King of the Mountains starts Scott's View, 2.2 kilometres in length, average gradient of 3%, maximum gradient of 15%. Samuel Jenner just having a look just to see where that group are behind over the summit of the first climb of the day, Hardens Hill. Pete Williams taking that from Jenner and Bagdonas. Williams' teammate Jacob Scott in that Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. He only managed to pick up 1 point on that previous climb. Bit of a mistake coming over the top of that. Got pipped on the line by Ryan Christensen and Pascal Incon, which bet that he won't make the same mistake on this climb. Looking at the way, looking at the front of the peloton, looking at the way they're moving, Ineos, Ben Swift, if they go really hard over these climbs, that suits him. He knows that he can get over the top of these climbs if they really go for it.
It should suit him. But I think the way that Jumbo Visma are riding, they know the climb's coming. They should know pretty much what it's like. And so, as we can see, the green jersey is up there, just on the left-hand side, surrounded by teammates, and he's obviously in good shape. And that's the thing that counts mainly. Even if you can't climb relative to the real quick guys up the ascents. If you've got the form, he's got the morale, and he's got the teammates around him. So it is a big ask for anybody if they want to try and put him under pressure. If they can, they will.
Van Baal, Sivakov right towards the front here as well. Van Baal, has a little chat with everyone around him. Van der Poel is on the left. We'll see what the Lotto Soudal riders might want to might have a go here as well. On the not on this climb, maybe on the next one. Alex Dowser is also up towards the front. You can see in the centre of your picture there that light blue jersey with the red on it of Katusha Alpecin, Mitchelton, Scott. All keeping Trentin out of trouble here. So at the moment, the way we're climbing this one, we've gone through those little steep sections as well. Now we go. So a big attack now going in off the front. Lotto Soudal looks like Frederick Frieson now that's going on the attack here for Lotto Soudal. So this team deciding now's the time to change things up a little bit.
Yep, one lone rider though, and there's no panic at the moment, no real movement on the front of the peloton, and that's the thing. Lotto Soudal, if they react, Jumbo-Visma, I can't believe it's been 2 years now. Jumbo-Visma, if they react to this straight away, then what they could potentially do is put their rider Groenewegen under pressure, so that they don't react to it, and they'll just time trial. They've got safety in numbers, and nobody else wants to go on the attack at the moment. It doesn't look like anybody else reacting. If they did, and there were 3-4 riders, then a little bit more panic. But just one lone rider trying to ride himself across this 41-second gap. They don't need to react just yet.
Now you can see, and a steady climb at this point, as we said, average gradient of 3%. And again, just dips down. We're looking for the sprint for the summits. Pete Williams will be looking to take maximum points over the top of this one. Frederick Frieson pressing on here with his attack for Lotto Soudal. And they have Teish Benoot, Jasper de Bois behind. Van der Poel now comes across the gap. Now Mathieu Van der Poel. This changes the dynamic of the race. If Van der Poel now wants to go on the offensive here on stage 2. And at the moment, no reaction behind.
Well, I'm not sure if there's no reaction. It's certainly that should be a warning to everybody. They cannot afford to let that go. Now, whether it is Jumbo-Visma who chase him down, because ultimately for general classification, they're not worried about that, certainly not for Dylan Groenewegen, but other teams looking in the hunt for the Over Energy green jersey, that leader's jersey come the weekend, next weekend in Manchester, then they've got to look out for this man here. This is a very dangerous move.
A style all of his own, back to the front. Pete Williams now sprinting it out for maximum points over the top of this one. Jenner is going to take second place over the summit. So Williams, Jenner and Bagdonis behind. Van der Poel and Frieson are on their own. Van der Poel takes a glance back over the shoulder. So the move that was instigated here by Frederick Frieson of Lotto Soudal. He's been joined at the front by Van der Poel and Frieson. They take King of the Mountains points as well, but that's not the objective here for Mathieu Van der Poel. And there goes Jacob Scott. He takes another 1 point in this one. Now, there will be alarm bells ringing loudly, excuse the cliche, around that group. Mathieu Van der Poel, they are going to have to react. As you said, Rob, though, got me doing it now.
Sorry, apologies.
Jumbo-Visma in the yellow. Apologies if you're not familiar. They used to be called Lotto Jumbo. Jumbo-Visma on the front. Again, keeping it steady, not reacting, keeping that pressure on nice and smooth.
These riders have been out there for a long time, these three, and they are already starting to, well, they are starting to fatigue now.
Frederick Frieson and Mathieu Van der Poel make contact with the front trio. Up to 21 seconds already is this gap. Really took everyone by surprise. 7th overall at 10 seconds is Mathieu Van der Poel. Going into today's stage, Frederick Frieson, 111th at 10 seconds. So there's your group. Williams, Jenner, Bagdonas, Frison, Van der Poel. That's the makeup of your group. 32.1 kilometres to go. So Mathieu Van der Poel setting things out early. You can see former national road champion of the Netherlands. He was also world junior champion on the road in the past as well. And this race, he's here. He said in his interviews with Rebecca Charlton that his objective is preparation and training for the upcoming World Championships that are not far away now. Now he's looking to mix things up. He's off the front as we head back towards Kelso. One of the pre-race favourites, Mathieu Van der Poel, is now hunting down that green jersey of Dylan Groenewegen. Scott's View, King of the Mountains, the Category 2. Peter Williams taking maximum points there ahead of Samuel Jenner, Gediminas Bagdonas, then followed by Mathieu Van der Poel, Frederick Frison and Jacob Scott.
On the drop into Melrose with Jumbo-Visma on the front, the breakaway was caught and everything was back together. That meant that Rory Townsend could challenge for the final iceberg sprint of the day. He picked up 2 valuable points behind Matteo Trentin and Mitchelton Scott. That left the final Skoda King of the Mountain climb at Dingleton.
On to the King of the Mountains, the final climb of the day. Dingleton, 2.4 kilometres in length, the average gradient of 6.8%, maximum of 8%. But worth noting here, Rob, on this climb that Dylan Groenewegen is starting to drift back significantly in this peloton.
He is. So what he's done, though, he started up towards the front, and he is getting distance from the front of the peloton, where it is Dylan van Baarle from Ineos who is putting the pressure on, but he is still within the peloton. If you can imagine, he'd started down towards the back, then you're going to lose distance and lose traction within the peloton. But he will be fighting for this, trying to stay on, and he will have teammates dropping back with him to try and bring him forward. But as we can see, the riders, the sprinters who were up there yesterday, who can climb well, Matteo Trentin and Ben Swift as well.
Pavel Sivakov now going on the attack. Tony Galopin is up here for AG2R Le Mondial, but Sivakov, like Mathieu Van der Poel on the previous climb, this is a dangerous move now. Sivakov, you would say, would be Team Ineos's protected rider for this race. Corendon Circus are the team that are defending. Jimmy Janssens is one of the 2 Corendon Circus riders just coming across the gap here. Sivakov nonchalantly pedaling off the front. The reaction coming from behind. Armin Gröndal, Janssen, Eriksson getting up here as well. Lucas Eriksson, the Swedish national champion. Sivakov, this style of Sivakov is a great time trialist, winner of Tour of the Alps earlier on in the season. That was the big race where we really saw him starting to come into his own. Jimmy Janssens of Corendon Circus defending on the front here for Mathieu Van der Poel, just trying to drag this gap back, but he looks back over the shoulder at the riders behind just to see what sort of damage is being done here.
Well, I think Sivakov, I don't think this is an out-and-out attack. I think he's just trying to draw riders with him. Again, 23.6 kilometres to go. To go solo on your own, it's a big ask, but it's not really, I don't think it's having the effect if that is what he wanted to do, because while they're there in their entirety, and there we can see Dylan Groenewegen. Oh, he is really struggling. He's absolutely flooded. Does he have teammates with him? He certainly should have. And there he is.
Just dropping back to get him there is Jos van Emden. Gabs Kalleg just ahead. Sivakov just gradually drawing the gap out here, and Ineos are working. We're seeing a bit of a reaction. Is that Teish Benoot that's attacking out of that group behind? Sivakov out of the saddle on the front. We're seeing some reaction from Lotto Soudal. It is Teish Benoot and that group behind. Sivakov, this is a gutsy move now from Sivakov. It looks almost like a pre-planned move here. Benoot has a glance around, and the peloton is absolutely disintegrating under the pressure of the attack of Sivakov here on the final climb of the day. And again, Pavel, the sort of rider that he is, he takes his opportunities on days. Again, we're talking a lot about stage 4, we're talking about that time trial, but again, this is the sort of day when everyone's looking at the likes of Groenewegen and thinking it's going to be a bunch sprint. It's an opportunistic move here.
It is, and it's, well, at the moment it's paying off. 23 kilometres to go. We know his time trialling capability as well against the clock, and so this is a good move for him now, but he is committed to this. He's got to be. He can't afford to back off as he takes maximum points over the final climb here of Dingleton.
Sivakov takes the points, so now the attacks come again from that group behind. Now the counter-attack over the top. You can see the size of this group. Where is our green jersey of Dylan Groenewegen? He's not in that group. Here he is. So a little bit further down the group. So Groenewegen is with Mark Renshaw. Jumbo-Visma are working hard now. Over the top of this one, they're picking up Gab Skaleg of Wiggins-Lacole as they go through. So now he is just cresting the summit here on this one. 12 seconds is your time gap. So let's bring you up to speed with your King of the Mountains. So it was Sivakov that led over the top there from Janssen, Benoot, Meyer. Dunbar getting up there as well. We are going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere back soon.
Stage 2 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain here in Kelso. It's another beautiful day and I'm going to run you through the final kilometre and its key features. So there's a big sweeping right-hander immediately after the K to go. And then it's a line-up for a left-hander over the bridge of the River Tweed. This sprint could be divided into 2 half sprints. One to this corner coming up with 500 metres to go, and the next one to the line. Here we are, and at full speed, this is a real corner, and positioning will be key. And then a bit of a climb to get over this bridge. Now, I remember doing this sprint because there's not a lot of position change after this bridge. You're basically into the town, it's quite narrow, and most people stay where they are, give or take a position or two. There's no sight of the line yet, so we're looking at the boards to tell when to kick, but really, sprint starts here before you can even see the line, and then you hit the cobbles. Sprinting on cobbles doesn't change, apart from it's harder to get the power down, and you still have to time it right at the end. That is not a straightforward sprint. It's basically divided into 2 halves, one with 500 metres to go in a left-hander over the bridge and one to the line. The winner is going to have to get them both right.
With less than 20 kilometres to go, Pavel Sivakov was caught, and as we rejoin the commentary, the sprint is on for Kelso. Over to Rob and Marty.
Up on the front, chasing Omar Goldstein, it is looking for David Chimolai, who was second yesterday behind Dylan Groenewegen. Groenewegen not in this group. Number 1 down there, the British champion Ben Swift just going out of our shot, 5th yesterday.
There's Matteo Trentin right in the centre of your picture there. You're being led out. His teammates doing the work for him. Matthew van der Poel in the red and white of Corendon Circus. Ben Swift, easy to pick out in that British champion's jersey. He's got number 1 on his back. Gediminas Bagdonas is still in there as well. Tony Galopin for AG2R Le Mondial. Galopin potentially a rider that we could watch out for the general classification. Connor Dunn is in here as well. Big Connor Dunn you can see there. Right in the centre of this group. Eddie Dunbar there for Team Ineos. Durbridge, what a big turn that he is doing here on this finish. Eduardo Sepulveda moving up for Team Movistar.
Yeah, Movistar, they're looking for a general classification. But, Ineos with absolutely superb representation up towards the front. Their entire team, in fact, are there surrounding Ben Swift in second spot. He's there in the white jersey, predominantly white jersey with the blue and red stripe, denoting British road race champion. 5th yesterday, can he better that? Well, quite possibly, but he's got a big battle with the likes of David Chimolai. His team have been on the front, committing to this, just to try and keep the likes of Dylan Groenewegen away. And Mitchelton Scott also doing an awful lot of work.
There's Chimolai there in that Setterfield Points jersey, the light blue jersey. His team here, the Israel Cycling Academy. There's Connor Swift, 91. So Connor Swift is up here in this one as well. Danilo Viss is the Dimension Data rider that's close to the front. But our fast finishers, if we look at how things finished yesterday, Chimolai is in this group. Trentin is in this group. Matthew Van Der Poel, he was 4th. Ben Swift, that was up there yesterday. Boris Valet and Sean Tronson. I'm just trying to pick them out as well. Jasper de Boist, we've seen him. So we've got a few, we've got some pink jerseys in here as well from EF Education First. We'll see if Sasha Modolo has made it into this group, but 4.1 kilometers to go. There you go, 4K to go now. So we're going through that 4 kilometer to go point. On the front, here comes Eddie Dunbar just moving up on the bottom of your picture. Still Luke Durbridge is there. Now we're getting a little move up on the outside of the group here. So out of the saddle. Big attack going in. Steve Cummings goes on the attack. So Cummings there. Just, they have a little glance back over the shoulder. They don't want Cummings to get away in this one. A good time trialist is Steve Cummings. That was his move. 3.5 kilometers to go. Is this Alex Dowsett that now has a dig off the front for Katusha Alpecin? Seated attack now by the Katusha man. Just folds his hands over the top of the brake lever hoods, and it is Alex Dowsett that fancies his chances on at this stage. And an impressive move there, Rob. Seated acceleration.
Big move by Dowsett. And, well, he's going for glory here. 3K to go. He's committed to this. Time trial former hour record holder.
So this is Alex Dowsett, perfect territory now for the Katusha Alpecin man when everyone's starting to look around for their sprinters in this group. Now he makes his move and he's opened up a decent gap now as Alex Dowsett. There's a bit of a lull in that group behind. Already opening 8 seconds here. Alex Dowsett over that chase group behind. So can he time trial his way off the front here? Impressive move. Countered that move there by Steve Cummings of Dimension Data. And looking around the front of the group now, it's being left to the Israel Cycling Academy team of Chimolai to do the work. So again, one team against one rider off the front.
Yeah, well, we've got 3 riders against one pretty much at the moment. Dowsett just looks over his shoulder as he goes around that right-hand bend now. 2 kilometers from the finish. This is a big ask, but he's committed. He's got to commit to this as well. Give absolutely everything. This isn't really a time trial effort now. He's gone beyond that. He really is going to be flooding very soon, and if he looks over his shoulder, under his arm, he will see that chasing peloton, and it is David Chimolai's team of Israeli Cycling Academy. Now, they have to be careful, because if they commit too much to this, they've got to bring Dowsett back, admittedly, but they can't afford to lose everybody and just leave Davide Chimolai, their sprinter, on the front on his own. But their first priority is they've got to get Dowsett back, and at the moment, none of the other teams are helping.
Alex Dowsett, there's the peloton just swinging around that corner. They're starting to look ahead. Alex Dowsett, fully committed to this effort, is the time trial champion of Great Britain. Dowsett for Katusha Alpecin. This would be a great result for them if they can take it. Israel Cycling Academy with Chimolai. Trentin is here. The pink jersey is that Sasha Modolo through the Flamme Rouge. 1 kilometer to go. This tight technical run in towards the finish. It could suit a solo rider here on his own. Alex Dowsett is powering on towards Kelso. Can he hang on and take the stage victory?
Well, They're all spreading out behind now. Mitchelton Scott seem to be on the front. Matteo Trentin, it is who they will be looking after. Van der Poel has teammates with him as well. So much to gain here, so much to play for Alex Dowsett, trying to steal a march on the sprinters.
500 metres to go now. Dowsett is on to the bridge. They exit that, then they have the run up towards the finish. Here comes the chase behind. It could be agony for Alex Dowsett getting caught inside of the finish. Can he make one last ditch effort now to try and hang on? The road bends round to the left. Dowsett needs something. Here comes Trentin. The sprint towards the line. He's on to the cobblestones. He could get caught on the line. He's going to get caught inside of the finish. Matteo Trentin comes through. Trentin takes the stage. Alex Dowsett caught in sight of the finish.
Well, Dowsett, how frustrating is that on the line?
They have it. There's Groenewegen crosses the line. That's the end of the race in the green jersey for him. A second career stage win at the Tour of Britain for Matteo Trentin ahead of Jasper de Voost and Mike Turnison. The first of many visits to the podium for the Mitchelton Scott rider, who also now takes over at the head of the general classification with Davide Chimolai still in second, with de Voost now in third. And took the Ovo Energy green leaders jersey here in Kelso. There was a reward for the AG2R rider Gediminas Bagdonas for 2 days in the breaks with the Iceberg Red Sprinters jersey. With the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey still with Jacob Scott of Swift Carbon Pro Cycling.
I'm not sure about how many points I've returned it yet. I'll have a look in a bit. But there was at one point, I think, over the second KOM where I thought, yeah, I probably could have taken another point, but I'm not quite sure what happened there, really. But yeah, it's all right. I can't do anything about it now, and yeah, move on. But yeah, we'll have a look and see how many points I've kept it by later.
Multiple Grand Tour stage winner also donned the blue Setterfield points jersey.
For a while, today's stage was looking fairly routine, and then the fireworks happened, and this man emerged victorious from them. Matteo, congratulations on the stage win here into Kelso. Describe those last few kilometres for us.
Thank you very much first. It was quite hectic. I think Alex Dowsett launched a really good attack, and we could control it, but just on the limit. So I think I catch him into the 100 meter. So it was really looking like British guy gonna win today. Yes. But sorry, beat him.
You ruined it. You ruined it for the Brits.
I ruined your day.
And just talk more about the strategy for this week, because clearly you're keeping an eye on Jumbo-Visma and Dylan Groenewegen.
Yes, of course. And today, after yesterday, you could see Groenewegen being one step above all the other sprinters, and fairly is one of the best sprinters in the world. So we're kind of expecting this, but at the same time, we knew on the last climb we can shake him up, and that's what we did, and it was working. The guys did a really good job bringing me into the climb and then surviving, and Cameron and Luke pull like animals going to the finish, and still Cam could lead me and Edmondson into the last corner for the sprint. So I think we deserve it today. As tactically we were really good.
You did do a good job. Do you think you can go for the overall? And if so, do you think you need a buffer for the time trial? And by how much do you think?
Yeah, I can go for the overall. It can be a possibility, but as we discussed with the team in this race, you need to be there every single day and surviving that special day that is always in Tour of Britain, where the race completely exploding, everyone going bananas. So you need to be there first, and then I need as more time as I can on people like Alex. If you see what he pulled up today, it means that his time trial legs is getting better and better.
Tomorrow is another day, and the race moves into England. Let's have a closer look now at Stage 3.
Stage 3 is the first English stage of this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Having left Berwick-upon-Tweed, the 3 Skoda King of the Mountains climbs come in quick succession. The peloton then heads towards the Sea Houses sprint, dipping inland to visit Alnwick before the final 2 intermediate dashes. Having reached Tynemouth, the course follows the River Tyne into the heart of the city, before a steep climb to the finish in Newcastle city centre.
Matteo, just to finish off, you have won stages at the Tour de France, the Giro, the Vuelta, a couple now at the Tour of Britain. Clearly they're right up there with your favourites.
Oh yeah, it's a really nice race, especially with the good weather. Like I'm actually lucky because I saw last year was raining a lot, and you see I come to Britain and it's nice.
It is. You brought the weather. And just finally, what are these cobbles like to sprint over? Not too bad. Didn't notice them.
I was thinking it was worse. To be honest, it was not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah. Maybe I found a really nice clear line. I don't know.
You did. This is like the Paris-Roubaix of Scotland. Thank you very much indeed, Matteo. Grazie mille. Thanks to you as well, Janto. Tomorrow is another day. This man has to try and keep the green jersey on his shoulders. Join us for live coverage in the morning and highlights once again, 8 o'clock ITV4. We will see you then. Bye-bye.